Good evening. I'm Matt Gutman in for Tony DeCopel. Tonight,
oh my God,
breaking news from Texas. The jury's verdict in that deadly stabbing at a high school track meet and what happened after the decision was read. Also breaking tonight, the U.S. military striking back against Iran after one of its drones downed a U.S. Apache helicopter. The crew rescued by an American drone boat. Plus, our exclusive CBS Sunday Morning interview with Vice President J.D. Vance, what he's saying tonight about the likelihood of a peace deal. Also developing, the flood emergency in the Midwest tonight. That multi-day storm threat now intensifying, and the first major heat wave of the year. Rob Marciano tracking it all tonight. That chilling new video, a man attacked by a shark off the Florida coast, and the growing calls for a national shark alert system. Sunscreen upgrade. The U.S. gets its first new sunscreen ingredient in nearly 30 years. Finally catching up with Europe and Asia. Dr. John LaPook with what you need to know.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the raw emotions today after a jury in Texas found 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet last year. And immediately after the verdict tonight, tension erupted outside the courthouse, the jury rejecting Anthony's assertion that he killed Metcalf in self-defense. He did not testify on his own behalf. The Metcalf family all along rejecting the use of their son's death to inflame racial divides. None of the jurors deciding the teenager's fate were black. Our Jonah Kaplan is at the courthouse tonight. Jonah, good evening.
Matt, good evening. This was an emotional and a dramatic trial that lasted 7 days, but it took less than 3 hours for that jury to return a guilty verdict.
oh my God.
Emotions ran high outside the county courthouse in McKinney, Texas, minutes after a jury convicted 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf last year. The two teens were high school track athletes at competing schools.
At the end of the day, nobody wins. You know, it's a loss on both sides.
Police officers and sheriff's deputies were lined in front of the courthouse to keep calm. Anthony was convicted of murder. Prosecutors argued he intentionally killed Metcalf after being shoved and taunted by Metcalf and his teammates. Anthony claimed self-defense and broke down crying in the courtroom. He did not take the stand in his trial. Why does this feel so personal to so many people?
Because I'm a black person myself. I'm a black woman. I am a black mother, and I feel for him.
How do we ensure that this act of violence and the verdict doesn't lead to more acts of violence?
By standing peacefully and not yelling and screaming and attacking each other with words. Just be kind.
Anthony's supporters also criticized the racial makeup of the jury. The 12-member panel did not include any African Americans. Right after that verdict, there was actually a mini trial for sentencing, and the jurors are deliberating on that right now. Matt, Anthony, 19 years old, could face life in prison, or the jury could come back and say that they can give a lesser charge, if you will, and show some compassion if he was provoked in an emotional state.
Jonah, thank you. Now to the Middle East for more breaking news. The U.S. military carrying out new strikes tonight in Iran after the downing of a U.S. Apache helicopter by Iran. The crew of that helicopter hitching a ride to safety aboard an American drone boat. Senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata has late developments now from Tel Aviv.
Matt, the U.S. said its proportional response began a little more than an hour ago, calling them self-defense in nature. They struck sites around the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation, including radar sites for the helicopter downing this morning. U.S. military officials tell CBS News an unmanned drone like this raced to rescue the stricken U.S. crew before Iranians could get to them after their Apache attack helicopter went down in hostile waters near the Strait of Hormuz. Sources tell CBS News initial reports indicate an Iranian drone apparently took the Apache down, marking the first time a drone has downed a U.S. aircraft. Tonight, President Trump vowed to retaliate. There were 2 pilots involved. Both are safe and uninjured, he wrote on Truth Social. Nevertheless, the United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack. The speaker for the Iranian parliament had his own warning. We prefer the language of diplomacy, he said on social media, but we speak other languages far more fluently. The service members spent 2 hours in the waters off the coast of Oman before the drone picked them up. They were later hoisted to safety by a helicopter. Both are said to be in stable condition. That rescue has spotlighted Task Force 59, the U.S. Navy's first dedicated unmanned unit, part of a hybrid fleet powered by AI and headquartered in Bahrain. These strikes could complicate the peace deal President Trump has been negotiating for more than 2 months. Iran said it has the right to respond to tonight's strikes. Matt?
Charlie Daggett in Tel Aviv, thank you. An early look now at a CBS Sunday Morning exclusive interview. Our national correspondent for CBS Sunday Morning, Robert Costa, spoke today with Vice President J.D. Vance about those lengthy peace talks with Iran.
Are the Iranians stringing President Trump along, in your view?
No, I don't think so. Again, I think their system takes a long time to reach consensus. I always hear people ask me, do you trust the Iranians? And what the president has said is, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. What I do trust is my own ability to negotiate. I trust our administration's ability to negotiate. And I trust the enforcement provisions that we're going to get in place.
And you can see much more of that exclusive interview on CBS Sunday Morning. Now to that multi-day outbreak of severe weather in the central U.S. A mix of dangerous thunderstorms, flash floods, hail, and staggering heat stretching roughly from Colorado to Kentucky tonight and pushing east. Meteorologist Rob Marciano tracking it all for us.
Storms intensifying across multiple states today, bringing punishing rain and life-threatening flash flooding. Up to 8 inches of rainfall in Lanesville, Indiana, filling roads with muddy water. This video shows the floodwaters inundating a bank drive-through area and seeping inside. Workers there told local media they waited out the storm by sitting on top of their desks. Much of southern Indiana hit hard. Images of flooded ballparks filling social media and what appears to be a busted propane tank floating down a creek. Raging water even ripped through this home's garage. And in Sullivan, Missouri, many neighborhoods also flooded.
It just kept raising and raising. I called him at work and I was like, I don't know what to do. It's hitting the front and the back of the house. And I was like, I don't know how much higher it's going to get.
I've just never seen it this bad. It's quite surprising for me, actually.
The storm system erupted overnight. Winds ripping across Salina, Kansas to over 110 miles per hour. To the east, the power knocked out to part of Kansas State University. Sparks flying as utility lines come down in the extreme winds. Those winds measured at 113 miles per hour at the Salina airport. If confirmed, that would be a record for the city. More storms are erupting in western parts of Kansas tonight, and there's a tornado watch out, more than one actually, for both North and South Dakota. That's where the tornado action will be in until midnight tonight, but fair enough amount of wind damage coming with these storms as well. And we have a number of flood warnings still out for parts of the Mid-South and the Southeast. So pushing these storms off towards the east, Bismarck, Fargo tonight, and then tomorrow we move it along to Des Moines, to Davenport, Minneapolis, Madison, Chicago. Those areas may very well see more than one round throughout the day, damaging winds and the potential for seeing tornadoes. And then during the day on Thursday, Chicago looks like it will get hit again. There's the front. You see it lining up all the way back through Springfield, Missouri. Fed by heat and humidity, we do have heat advisories out for the midsection of the country. Temperatures will feel like up and over 100 degrees easily tomorrow, and those temperatures do spread off towards the east on Thursday and Friday, only cooling here Friday because those storms will arrive here then. Matt?
Concern in the heartland, Rob. Thank you very much. Now, this is primary day in 4 states. Voters heading to the polls in Nevada, South Carolina, North Dakota, and Maine, which features a nationally watched U.S. Senate race. It's no secret that Democrats are trying to win back the Senate in November, and their candidate is Maine is one who recently admitted to a sexting scandal and is now fighting off allegations from several former girlfriends. Our Caitlin Huey-Burns is in Maine tonight.
Many Maine voters told us today they were willing to look past Graham Plattner's controversies if it would help Democrats win back power in Washington.
I think it's so important that the Democrats capture this Senate seat, that I'm willing to vote for a candidate whom I think is quite imperfect.
Plattner himself did some last-minute door knocking, continuing to make his case after allegations from several former girlfriends appeared in the New York Times, accusing him of unsettling and toxic behavior. One alleged he grabbed her and left marks.
There are some allegations in this piece that I just want to be kind of unequivocal about are simply not true.
Plattner, an oyster farmer and Marine veteran, has acknowledged he sent sexually explicit text messages to other women early in his marriage. His wife has defended him, and the two appear in a campaign video released today. Just last night, his former political director warned that Plattner should not be a U.S. senator, writing he exhibits a pattern of dishonest behavior that's impossible to ignore. Plattner is still expected to win tonight, but with control of the U.S. Senate on the line in November, the questions about his past could be a liability as he tries to take out the veteran Republican Susan Collins.
Allegations against Graham Plattner are extremely troubling and serious, and he owes the people of Maine a detailed answer.
Plattner has caught fire among progressives here who say they want a senator who can buck President Trump. Bernie Sanders is Plattner's top supporter, and he said this week that despite the controversies, he'll do everything he can to help Plattner get elected. Matt.
Caitlin, I'm sure you'll keep us posted on those results. New court documents tonight reveal a high-stakes fight in the case against Nick Reiner. He's the 32-year-old son of actor and director Rob Reiner, who's accused of killing his parents last December. Reiner wants a judge to order the release of money from his trust fund. National correspondent Carter Evans is here to explain how that fund might be used for his defense. Carter.
Well, good evening, Matt. Nick Reiner's trust fund is worth an estimated $1.5 million, and today his legal team filed a petition requesting access to that money. Now, Reiner's attorneys argue he was entitled to receive half of the trust when he turned 30, but that never happened. Reiner is now 32. In the court filing, Reiner's attorneys say the trustee who manages the fund knew the payout was never made, but is still refusing to release the money, citing concerns regarding Nick's capacity to make sound decisions. Now, Reiner says he needs the money to help pay for his legal defense in his murder trial and to fund his commissary account while he's in prison. The newly filed petition suggests money may have already played a role in the defense. High-profile defense attorney Alan Jackson initially represented Reiner, but withdrew from the case. And the documents reveal Reiner sought trust distributions to potentially bring Jackson back onto the case. Reiner is currently represented by a public defender. A judge will now decide whether the money must be released, and if so, under what conditions. Matt?
Carter, thanks. Breaking health news tonight about sunscreen. Today, the FDA approved a new ingredient here in the U.S. that's been in use in Europe for a quarter of a century. CBS chief medical correspondent John LaPook joins me. John, so this is getting a lot of attention.
Right.
Why?
So bemotrizanol, right? That's tough to pronounce, but it has some attractive features. Okay. For one thing, it protects against both UVA and UVB. It tends to last longer, so it's not as easily broken down by the sun, and has less potential to be systemically absorbed, so absorbed into the bloodstream. And on top of that, some dermatologists I spoke to today said it's cosmetically elegant, so it goes on easy, it sort of blends in, it doesn't leave that white residual thing that you tend to see.
Okay, so it protects your skin better for longer periods of time, leaves less residue. Why is this the first new ingredient on the market in the U.S. approved by the FDA in over 20 years?
Well, you know what? In Europe, this is treated as a cosmetic. In the United States, it's treated as an over-the-counter drug. They both have to be shown to be safe and effective, but there are more regulatory hoops to be shown as an over-the-counter drug in the United States. So this has been a long time coming. The associations, the skin associations are saying this is a good idea. And so it just gives people more options. The company is saying now that it's approved, they're going to try to get it out to people as soon as possible.
Okay, so they're saying better late than never. Thank you, Dr. John LaPook. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, new details about a terrifying shark attack off the coast of Florida and the new efforts to alert people when there's danger in the water. And later, talk about a backseat driver, what Pope Leo did on his ride in the cockpit today. A Florida man is in critical condition tonight after fighting off a shark in the Florida Panhandle. Now there are new efforts underway to create a nationwide system to alert swimmers of potential shark danger. CBS's Christian Benavides has details, and we want to warn you, this video is disturbing.
Terrifying video out of Panama City, Florida, shows a man desperately fighting for his life during a shark attack.
Just had a Signal 45 shark attack out at the Navy base.
Navy officials say the man, who is in his late 20s, is an employee at the Navy base marina. He was swimming during his lunch break Monday with a coworker when he was bitten by a shark.
Got there immediately and performed the life-saving measures that we can. Our hearts go out and prayers and thoughts go out to the victim and the victim's family.
The man suffered injuries to both arms and was taken to a nearby hospital where he was rushed into surgery. That hospital tells CBS News he remains in critical condition. Michael Heidhouse is a marine biologist.
The waters are warming up. There's shark nurseries around there. So this is the time of year where people are getting the water because it's hot and more sharks are moving in.
While experts note shark attacks are rare, Florida has seen more than any other state in recent years.
If you see a big shark, keep your eye on it and slowly back out of the water.
This comes as some lawmakers are pushing for a national shark attack alert system. Named after teenage shark attack survivor Lulu Gribben, Lulu's Law would require the FCC to send out emergency alerts to cell phones following a confirmed shark attack. The bill has passed both the House and Senate and now awaits President Trump's signature.
Last year nationwide, there were 25 shark attacks. About half of those were here in Florida. Matt, experts say don't swim in murky water. If you are swimming, try not to have anything shiny on you, which could be mistaken for fish scales, and try not to swim alone.
Some solid advice, Christian. Thank you. Pope Leo joined the crew aboard his flight to Barcelona today. The pontiff took the cockpit jump seat and chatted with the pilots after taking off from Madrid. Then he put on headphones and started chatting with the Air Force fighter pilot escorting his plane. The Pope's been in Spain all week for an historic visit. That's the CBS Evening News for this Tuesday. For Tony DeCopel, I'm Matt Gutman. Good night.